Okay folks, so in this little tutorial I'm going to show you how to make this image turn into this image right here, and to do this we're going to be using ViewNX to change the exposure of the original image, and we're going to be using Photomatix Pro to render it in high dynamic range imaging. So first you want to open up your ViewNX or your image finder, whichever you prefer to use. We're going to select camera settings for this. Now what we have to do is we need to find a good picture that could hold a lot of detail, and it's something maybe like a building, a car. What I'm going to use is a padlock on a gate, and as you can see the gate's all crusty, and yeah, I'm going to pick up on that detail. So what you want to do is you want to change the exposure to this image. Today I'm going to change the exposure 5 times. First we want the normal exposure, which is 0. What to do now is you right click on the image, click output, convert files, make sure TIFF 16-bit is highlighted, make sure it's set to that. Don't worry about these settings of remove camera information stuff. Save it to your desktop or a folder on your desktop. I'm saving it to my high HDR folder, and then you click convert, and then what I'll do is it'll convert it. Now do this another 4 times with the following settings. You want to set to -1, convert it, -2, convert it, +1 and +2, convert them. I've already did this just to save time. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move on to Photomatix, and I'm just going to close that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click generate HDR image, click browse, then I'm going to select all these TIFF files that are in this folder for the HDR image. Click open. Oh, right now that's the wrong one. Click open, click OK, and then this little menu should pop up here. As you can see, that says 3, 1, 0, -1 and 3, which is wrong. So what we want to do is adjust this. We want to set that to 1, the spacing of the exposure values, and as you can see it's 0, 1, 2 and stuff. So click OK once you've done that. Now on the next part, the options for the HDR will appear. We don't need any of these selected apart from the bottom one, which is take tone curve of color profile. So just select that and click OK. This will render the image, and it'll show you what you may end up with or what you can achieve from it from here. That doesn't necessarily mean it's the wrong image, so if it looks horrible and stuff, just ignore it. What to do is click on tone mapping next, and that will show you a lot of things. Now as you can see, that image looks good, but that's only because I've already done previous settings. So I'm going to load my default settings, which is up here, and this is what it looks like when I start with. So that's the image that I started with. So right now we're going to this is basically trial and error. You want to see what each function does, what it does, what it changes, what aspects of the image that it keeps. So for strength, I always start off high with strength because I like to have a lot of strength in my images. So I'm going to make it high. You can't see a lot of difference. Color, if it's an image with different contrasting colors like reds to blacks to blues to greens to everything, you want it to be pretty high. So yeah, it might not look nice to begin with, but we're always going to change it. I'm going to keep luminosity set to 0 just now, and we might come back to this setting. As for the light smoothing, I always like it to have it high, because if it's too low, then as you can see the image looks it just doesn't look right. So I'm going to set that to high again, and the micro contrast I'm going to set up to full. That's 10, because it makes it darker while also keeping some brightness in the picture. Now these settings aren't that important, the tone settings. It's basically allowing you to control how much whiteness, how much light gets into the image, and how much darkness prevails through it. So I want to set the white point up to about 3.4%, and the black point up to about 3.2%. So, but basically it'll be different with every image, guys. You've just got to adjust it to see what one suits your image and what one suits others' images. But this one suits mine. The gamma, I'm just going to leave it default. As for the color settings, temperature basically makes it brighter, makes it more like warmth, golden, and temperature being low makes it bluer, darker, colder. But I'm going to keep mine at a 0 or a 1. So I like to nice browny colour. Saturation highlights, basically how much highlights should be coloured in it. I'm going to increase that to about 7. The shadows, I'll put that to 8. There's not many shadows in my image, sadly, but I'm sure if you've got a very powering image with lots of shadows, it'll work to your advantage. Now these are the important settings. Smoothing settings are the really important ones that I always find difficult to get right. Sometimes it can look good, but then it can also look grainy as well, so it's all about trial and error. Micro smoothing for this image, I'm going to adjust it to about 18. No, lower, since you can see it loses a lot of details, so I'm going to put it about 5. I want to keep detail, yeah, that's much better. The smoothing of the highlights, always start putting them at 50% to see how much it changes. As you can see, it changed the cast sign, as you can see here. It changed that. If I reduce it back down to 0, it should go back duller. No, it should. Obviously, I didn't, never mind. But yeah, I'm going to put that about 50%. Then for shadow smoothing, I don't have many shadows on this image, so it's not really going to affect anything that I do. But we'll put it about 54. And there we have it. We have a nice image. You've obviously seen that it's improved. Once you're happy with it, you can save your settings so that they're saved as presets. And just what to do is save it. Once you're happy with the finalized image, you can always go back to settings to like decrease, increase stuff, just to mess about. Basically, that's the only way to learn, is by seeing what each does. Once you're done with that, click process, and what this will do, this will render the HDR image to what it's going to look like when it's finished, or in the bigger view, that is. This takes a little time, so you can, what to do in the meantime is you can load up Adobe Photoshop, which I've done here, but I'm going to close that down. The image is still rendering. Oh, here we go. Right, now once you've done that, click File, Save As. I want to save that as a different name. I want to save it as HDR2. Once you've done that, make sure it's selected as a JPEG that you save it as, and then click Save. Then you're free to leave there. I'm going to go into my HDR folder, and I'm going to load that image up in Photoshop, and I want to show you how to make it a little bit more crispier and how to finish it off with a nice border. So the image is going to load up in a second. There we go. What we're going to do is we're going to apply a filter called Unsharp Mask. So what to do is make sure the background image is selected, then click Filter, Sharpen, and Unsharp Mask. Then I've got, as you can see, it's really, I'll just drag this over. As you can see, it picks up on the lock, makes it more sharp. Picking up in here. It does look a bit pixelated in there, but that won't matter because nobody's actually going to view it up in full size. So the amount I've got is 102% with a radius of 3.4 pixels and the threshold set to 0. But this is just like everything else in Photoshop. It's trial and error. You can increase it to much more to get more detail, but you're also risking getting a lot of noise added to it as well. So I'm going to leave it at about 100%. Then what to do once you've got a nice set, just click OK, and that'll be that. That'll be it. You won't notice much of a difference, but there is a difference. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a border to it. With most pictures that I do, I've always got a 30 pixel black border. So what to do is press Ctrl and A to select all on the image, then go to Edit, then go to Stroke, then a little box will appear here. Set the width to 30 pixels, color black, and the location on the inside, then click OK. As you can see, it adds a nice border and it encloses the image basically. So that's about it really. As I said, it's all about trial and error. There is no wrong, there is no right, there's only messing about finding what is suitable for each picture. And thanks for tuning in, guys. I hope you enjoyed that little video. Goodbye.